Hello, welcome to an overview of this exciting and wonderful software on the market called AcVentory. Okay, so first of all, we want to know what AcVentory is. AcVentory is an inventory, sales, and accounts management software. Okay, so we have three packages in one: inventory, sales, and accounts, all by the same software. Okay, that's a cool start, right? Okay, let's get started. First, let's log in into the system. Okay, we're going to log in with the supervisor account. That's the highest account available. Okay, so now let's pay attention to what we have on the screen. As soon as we log onto the system, we get debt and due. We have something here called debts and due postdated checks form. Okay, so here is just a prompt. It's telling us people who owe us. Okay, it's color coded. Each color, there's a little information to tell you what it means. So green means debt's not due yet. You have blue, debt's overdue between 1 and 2 months. Then you have red, debt's overdue for 3 months or more. Okay, so basically when you log into the system, people who bought on credit from you, you see their details here if they've not finished paying. Okay, so that's the first part. If you have a post-dated check, you need to go cash or you need to go pay into your account. You see that one too here. Okay, then the last part is your creditors. Basically, people you've taken stock from and you've not paid fully. Okay, you see some reminder too here. Okay, so that is the first part of this. That is the first part of the prompt. Okay, so let's move on. We can close this and see if you get another prompt. Yes, we have another prompt. This one is expiration and shortage prompt. Basically, this is about items expiring and reorder levels. Okay, so for the first part, we have expired items. We usually have about to expire items before we get expired items. So all the items that are in the list here were previously in another list called about to expire. Okay, so for this, all the items here have expired, so we see them up here. So we are told we are given enough information to do something about it. Okay, so that's the first part. Then the second part, we talk about items below minimum quantity. That's the reorder. Items that are below their reorder levels right now. So all the items that are below their reorder level, we see them here. Okay, so that's about the prompts. So we can close this one, get to the system itself. Okay, so now we are into the system. So as you could see, the first time when we log in, anytime we log in, we get information about reorder, items to reorder. We get information about people we need to chase to pay us. I mean, people who owe us money, and we are gently reminded about our responsibility. I mean, our debt to our suppliers. Okay, so that's the first part. Okay, so now we want to focus on the inventory aspect. As I said, the system is about sale, inventory, and accounts. So basically, you're able to take stock, sell through the system, generate invoices and all. And you're also able to manage your account. I mean, pull your account, know how you're doing in terms of accounts. Okay, so we want to concentrate on the inventory, the sales and inventory aspect first, then we move on to the account. Okay, so the inventory. First, in the system, you have all the menus. You have the menus here covering every aspect of the system. Okay, but what happens is that on the main screen, you get some information about some links to the sales. I mean, things you do frequently in terms of sales, you get links to them. Then purchases, things you do regarding stock taking, you also get some quick links to them. The rest of the links are in the menus. Okay, so you can access the rest from the menus. Then there are all these are short links so that you don't have to go through the menus to access what you want. Okay, so let's look at the main screen. We have the menus up here. Then we have an information here, the company's website. This support information. If you have any problem, where you send an email to, the number you call if you need any help directly. Okay, so you get that number too here. Okay, so now let's look at the inventory aspect of the system. First, we need to be able to create our stock items. If you are going to sell things or we are going to provide services, we need to tell the system, these are the things we are selling, these are the services we are providing. Okay, so there's a short link here for that named add sales items. Okay, so things we sell, we call them sales item in the system. Okay, so let's look at this form. All you have to do, type the name of the item you sell. Let's say you sell sugar. So you say sugar, the size of the sugar, maybe 50 kg, because this is what comes up on your invoice. So it should be as descriptive as possible. Then the unit of measurement, for the sake of simplicity, we'll pick each. But if you want have some units of measurement in mind, you can add them here and select them here later. Okay. So then the category of the item, here is it a herbal product? Is it pharmaceutical product? Okay. In our case, let me create something general. Let me create a category I call general so that I can select it from here. So now I say it's general. I didn't, it falls under a category I'm calling general. Okay, so on this form, I'm asked to also enter the cash price, the selling price of the item. So first part is cash price, then the second is the credit price. Okay, so we are keeping two levels of prices here, pricing here. Okay, so the cash price, let's say we are selling for whatever currency you are using. Let's say we are selling for 50. Okay, let's say 100. In my case, it will be Ghana cedis or it will be cedis. Okay, so on credit, maybe I'll sell it for 110 cedis. Okay, so that's all I need to do to create an item. So I've created an item, this item called sugar. Okay, where can I find this item? This item is in my stock list now. If I go to my sales form to try to sell that item, I'll find it here. Okay, so I get it here that I have this item at this price. I have this item in stock at this price. Okay, so this is a confirmation that the item was created and it is in our stock list now. Okay, so that's about creating stock item. I can create as many as I want. Okay. Okay, so the next thing, I've created a stock, I've created an item I can sell or a service I provide. I've told the system this is an item or service I provide. So the next thing is to tell the system how many I have in stock or I currently have in my store and what's the value of it to me? What's the cost to me? So that's the next thing I need to tell the system. For that, I go to the purchase section. I select a supplier that I buy stuff from. I select my mode of payment. Am I taking it on credit or is it cash? So let's leave it with credit. You can ignore this for now. Then the date of the transaction. I can select the date of the transaction. The invoice number. Let's assume this is the invoice number. This is the number on the invoice. Okay. Then this due date doesn't apply because I'm doing credit. If I'm doing a check transaction, then this applies. Okay, so now I come here to select the item. So the item is sugar, right? So I get sugar here. Then the unit cost to me, I'm selling it 100. Let's say I bought it for 90. Okay, what's the quantity I have in stock? Let's say I have 43 in stock. So the system will do the rest of the calculations for me. If they gave me a discount, I can select and apply that. Okay, so the system tells me this what the cost is. If it's a unit is this and this is the quantity I have, then the total cost is this. When do I expect these items to expire? So if I have the expiry date on the item, I can put it here so that the system can prompt me when they are expiring. Okay, so that's it. I can save. Okay, so now I've taken stock of this item. If I had a lot of items on the invoice, I could just go on and select. Like in this case, I could select this, enter something for it. then select again. Okay, I can go on forever. Okay, so that's how this form works. Okay, so I'm able to receive stock into my system. Okay, so the next natural thing is, if you receive something, if you told the system what you have in terms of stock, the next thing is you want to sell. People come in and they want to buy. You need to sell, right? So there's a sales form here. It's a simple and straightforward. Someone comes in, they want to buy something. Let's say they want to buy sugar. What's the quantity they want? They want 4 bags. The item name is sugar. So it comes up. I pick it, I add it to my basket. Maybe they are buying another item. Let's say this particular item, they want one of that one too. Okay, so the system will do the calculation for me. For the sugar, it tells me this is the quantity I have available now. This is the quantity the person is buying. This other product, this is the quantity available. This is what they are buying. So after the sales, the system will do the deductions. Okay, so now it tells me the net. If I'm not giving any discount, I can give discount in this section. Okay, for here, for instance, I can give a discount of 2 cedis for this particular item. Okay, I could also, okay, so I could give a discount of 2 cedis here. Okay, so then the net here changes. I'm using unit discount, so 2 cedis per an item. So the system will multiply 2 by 4. So the total discount is 8 cedis. Then it will subtract that from the previous gross here, and give me this figure here, so that it adds these 2 figures to give me what the customer must pay to me. Okay, so this is an overview. We are not going to go through the details of everything here, but then I can leave this print invoice on, click sell, and it goes. In that case, it will print an invoice automatically. So since I don't have a printer connected, I can take it out and just sell. Okay, so that's the sales aspect. It's so simple. It's a very simple sales form. This is one of many sales forms. This doesn't use a barcode. This is the simplest sales form you have here. If you need to use a barcode scanner for your sales, you pick up the sell by barcode form, which is similar to the previous one. But then here, instead of entering the item name, you scan the item, the barcode in here. So that's the difference between this and that. Okay, and the previous one. Okay, as you can see, we have other sales forms here. We have a number of them. Okay, so you can pick that up from you can pick the type you want from the sales form here. Okay. Okay, now let's try and answer a few questions here. Okay, so let's assume we receive items from a supplier. Okay, so we receive things from a supplier, we recorded them into our stock, and realized that a few of them are defective. So we can't use them, we can't sell them to our customers. What do? Okay, so we return them back to the supplier so that they will refund us or replace it for us. Okay, so we need to tell our system here that we returned this number of items back to the supplier. So for that, we use the return outwards link here. First, we need to pick the invoice. The invoice we use for the transaction. The system needs to know which invoice we're talking about. So when we pick the invoice, the original transaction will be displayed for us to see. So as you could see, this is what we recorded earlier. Okay, so this part is read only, just for information. Then we can come back to this side. The payment type, we can say none, meaning the supplier did not give us money for it. Maybe they promised to replace it for us. Okay, but then we come here and we say the quantity, let's say we return 3 back to the supplier. Okay, so the system will do the computation of what the supplier is supposed to give to us. Okay, so you see that information here. We specify the date we did the return, then we just save. Okay, so the system will take these 3 out of our stock so that we can return it to the supplier. So that's about returning something back to the supplier. Again, what if there were so many mistakes when we are recording a transaction and we actually we now want to pull off that transaction, we want to pull it off completely so that we record it again. In that case, we go to reverse purchase. In that case, just like the previous, we pick an invoice number, then we tell the system, okay, that's the invoice. We want you to take it out for us. So we take it out. So it's taken out of our stock. So we can go back to the purchase form and record it afresh. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, that's on the purchase end. On the sales side, we sold to a customer. For a reason, they are returning some to us. Let's say our policy allows us to take some stock back based on some condition. So they brought this stock back to us that we need to give them their money or replace it. Okay, let's say we need to give them their money. So we tell the system, oh, the sales we recorded on this particular date, or this sales with this invoice, the person returned, we gave them cash when they returned the items to us. But let's say they returned one of this particular item. So the value of that on our sales invoice was this. So we say we paid them that money back. Okay, if there was a receipt we gave them, we could enter the number of the receipt in here, then just save it. Okay, so that's taken care of. The system will take that out of our invoice. This is a return note generated by the system that we can give to the customer, or we can keep on file. In this case, we keep on file for our bosses if the boss is not the one transacting directly. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, last thing to look at. What about just like in the pages? Let's say we did a sales transaction. There were so many mistakes. We need to pull back, or it was even a wrong. We shouldn't have done it. The customer did not commit to the sales. What do we do? How do we cancel it? Okay, so if you have the right, we just go to where I went, reverse sales. So we pick the invoice we are interested in reversing, display it just to confirm that indeed this is what we are reversing. Then we just click reverse. Okay, so then the system takes this out, adjusts the stock appropriately, and we are good to go. Okay, so that's about. Now let's look at reports. So what kind of reports can we get regarding to sales and inventory? Okay, so there's a link to the reports here. So we have 2 sections of this reports form. We have general accounts, that's for the accounting aspect. We come back to that. Then we have other reports. So the sales and inventory reports are in this section. Okay, so first, let's say we want to know our current stock, what we have available. We select what we call our current stock value. Stock value, current stock. Okay, so we are asked whether we want to show items with no quantities at all. We could say, no, I don't want to. I just want items that have quantity. Okay, so in that case, this is what I get. I have this report. I see each item, the quantity available, and the sales value. Basically, what it means is that if I sell all these 2 items, this is what I'm supposed to get in terms of revenue. Okay, so it goes on and on till the end, where it adds up everything I have in stock and says, if I'm to sell everything I have, I'm supposed to get 17,000 whatever. Okay, 17,160 and 65 pesos. Okay, so that's one of the reports you can get on sales, on inventory. This is your stock, your current stock. Okay, still on inventory, there's something called item statement. Basically, I can pick an item and tell the system to give me a statement of that item over a period of time. Okay, so let me pick, let's say from the beginning of this month to today, I want a statement on this item. Okay, so this is what I get. Okay, it says this the balance that came forward, and this is the sales that was made. Okay, so basically, as this is what I'm supposed to have. Okay. Okay. So, as you could see from the report, I saw some negative balance here, balance brought forward here. That is possible because of the return we did. I did a return outwards involving an invoice of this item, but I did not record the correct quantities back to stock. So that's why you're seeing this. Okay. So let's pick a typical item. Let's pick what you see, what you usually see with an item. Let's pick, let's say from start of year today to date. Let's see an item, a typical item statement. This is what you get. This, for instance, the quantity brought forward was 0. There was a purchase on this same, there was a stock that came in on this date, this quantity on the same date, these sales were made. So then there was another stock that came in on this date, and these two were sold. So basically, they came in and they were sold off. So we have 0 left. Okay. Then you could see the margins we made per sale. So over the period for this item, this is what we made. Okay. And in terms of revenue, this is what came in. Okay, for this item. Okay. So basically, this is one of the reports on inventory, an item statement. Okay, let's see. We can also see a price list here. Price list will give us the prices of items we have based on their categorized. Okay, so you have general, you have herbal, so you have their price. This you can print out for your customers or agents. Okay, so now let's look at sales, some of the sales related reports. Okay, so if I pick unit sales, let's say from unit sales, this is too far, so let me come to, let's say, no, okay, okay, let's say the beginning of this month, from the beginning of this month to today, the sales, what we can get from our sales report. Okay, so unit sales, this is what we get. You get the item name, the unit sold over the period, what was realized in terms of revenue. So it goes on, then at the end of the day, adds all of them up, then you get your unit sales. Okay, so that's unit sales. We have cash sales, which is unit sales but just cash. The unit sales includes credit transactions too. Okay, you have our customer sales details over the period. If I select that period, the same period, I'll get a breakdown of my sales with more details. Okay, the invoices, the item names, the quantity and everything detailed out. Okay, so I have this report here. Okay, the same way for my suppliers, what I picked from my suppliers over the period, I can also get it in this form. Okay, then we have the net sales report. Let's see what that is. Okay, so this just looking at aggregates. Okay, so you have your cash sales over the period from this period selected. So you have your cash sales, you have your total expenses, then this gives you net sales, subtracting this from this. then adding back credit sales, you get this net cash sales, then you get net sales here. Okay, then this is your total sales. Okay, so this how the net sales work. Okay, so we have reports like customer balances, people who buy on credit. If you have customers, you can see their balances at any point in time. Okay, there's customer sales summary. Okay, so you have customer sales summary. Then you have mini P&L. This is both for inventory and accounts. Okay, so the mini P&L for the period, you select a period. Let's say from the beginning of this month up to today, all the sales you have made. Okay, so as I said earlier, this item with this negative figure here is a problem from wrong manipulation of the data. I just return some items to show you a process. So that's why we had that problem. That's so the rest. So you can focus on the rest of the items here. So you see for each item, you have the quantity at the end of the period. Okay, so you selected this period, 1st September to 10th September. Okay, now you want the system to tell you how much you made within that period. Okay, so the system starts first by telling you the names of the items you sold within that period. So for each item, you get the quantity. You have period and quantity. This is the quantity at the end of the period you selected. So on the 10th of September, this was quantity in your stock for all these items. Okay, and you have items cost. This items cost is the cost of this quantity in stock. So costing by their unit cost. We are using FIFO here. Okay, so basically that's a cost. So the system will put all of them together to tell you the cost of all your stock, the cost of all your stock as at the end, as at this period, as at this date, the 10th of September. Okay, then now let's move on to period sales. What it means is that what you've sold, the revenue you got from sales within that period. Okay, so these are the values for each. So you put them together, this is what you realize in terms of sales over the period from the 1st of September to the 10th, the date you selected. Okay, so for each sales, your margin, what you got as profit is stated here. So the system puts all of them together and tells you that, okay, within this period, this is what you sold, this is what you got in terms of returns. Okay, this is the total revenue you got, but this is the part that represents profit. Okay, if you have some other revenues, the system will pull them from your revenue account and put them here within that period anyway. Then if you incurred any expenses that you recorded, you also see those expenses too here. Okay, so all in all, it's supposed to be your net profit for the period you selected. Okay, so that's the mini P&L report. As you could see, there are other reports here: credit sales, you have agent sales when you're dealing with agents. Okay, then so all these agent related transactions, a report, agents related reports that you could view. So if you're dealing with agents, and in the full tutorial you can go into details here. Then we have this other report here, debt aging analysis. Okay, you want to tell your bankers how well your customers are paying, or how well you're doing in terms of collecting monies from your customers. Okay, so they usually will need a debt aging analysis. They will need aging analysis of your debt so they can assess you properly. Okay, instead of spending months to do that report, you can just pull it here. Just click. So it will give you your aging analysis as at today. So that's what is the system is trying to do. Okay, so this is what we have. So all the customers to start with their balances. Okay, so the first column we have in the first column we have the customer's name, we have the customer balance, if there was any sales within the most recent month, it will come up here as current sales. So those are not debt. The debt starts from here. Overdue between debt overdue between 1 to 30 days will come up here. So they are 0. So here means you have no problem. Here, so here to 0. So no, it's not 0. We have the last customer here owing something. So then 61 to 90 days, you have that one today. Then you have over 90 days is the dangerous zone when people have not paid you for over 3 months. You have cause for concern. Okay, so that's the debt aging analysis. Okay, so you can print this out for your bankers to assess you. Okay, so that's a brief overview on this is a brief overview on the inventory aspect, sales and inventory aspect of the system. Okay, now let's look at the accounting aspect of the system. Okay, for the accounting, what happens mostly is that any transaction you do, the system will do the accounting for you automatically on the background if you use the forms in the system. Okay, so when you need to do something that you don't have any form in the system for, then you go to the account posting form where you get to do the double entry the way you want it. Okay, so we'll come back here. But first, let's demonstrate that if I do a transaction, the system will do the accounting for me. Okay, so first, let me sell something. I'm going to sell 20 bags of sugar. Okay, so I have 20 bags of sugar here for simplicity. I'm not printing any invoice. This is how much I'm supposed to take for the sales. And I'm saying the payment type is cash, right? So let me record this transaction, 2,000, right, for today. Okay, now let me go to the report section. Let me go to my cash account for today. It's today to today. I'm selecting my cash account for today. Okay, so I'm seeing some transaction here. Here, one of them, this cash sales of 2,000. Where did it come from? I did not post anything into a cash account. Yeah, the system did this for me automatically because I did sales and I said I collected money for it. I collected cash for it. So the system posts the transaction into my cash. Okay, so let's go to sales account. Okay, in sales account, I see retail customers as a description, basically sales to retail customers. And I'm also seeing 2,000 here. So the system also did some posting into my sales account. Okay, so the system has handled the accounting for me regarding this transaction. Okay, so that's the first point. Now, let's look at the other one, which is when you need to do something. Okay, before we go there, to make payments, we have a whole lot of forms here to make payments on the menus aspect. So you can choose any of them to make your payment. So if you check for what you want to do and you don't find it here and you don't find it in the menus, then you could use account posting to do that. Okay, so for things that you could not do through the forms, you can do the accounting here. Okay, so for instance, you want to debit a bank account. Okay, you have to create a bank first. Okay, so let's go here. We have short links here to create the various types of accounts. You have capital account, bank. Okay, so you have new bank, new asset, and all of that. So let's say we create a bank account, just the name and the balance we are starting with. So let's say uni. let's say unique bank, something like that. Okay, okay. So we have a bank account like that now. We come here, we select bank, we see unique bank here. Let's say we want to debit it with a certain amount. Let me use 3,000. Okay, so I have 3,000. The date, effective date, remark, let's say testing. I'm testing something. Okay, so what's the other account involved in the transaction? Okay, let's say we are paying for some expense. Okay, so sorry, we are receiving some revenue. This 3,000 CDs is coming from some revenue, right? So let me see. Let me pick a revenue. Okay, again, I don't have a revenue account. Okay, let's say it's even coming from a customer. So let me pick any customer here. So we are saying that this customer is paying us this amount because we are debiting our cash with this. So this our bank account with this particular amount. So that's what it means. We give the remark to tell us what we are dealing with. Okay, here you see project name. Okay, this system allows project-based accounting. That's why you see project name here. You can add any number of projects so that you can organize your accounts by projects. Okay, so for now, we are going to leave that out. Okay, so let's save this transaction. Okay, so you can also reverse a transaction that you've posted through the double entry system. Okay, the form for that is just below this. You have reverse posting. So first, you search for one of the accounts involved. Let's say a customer's account, a particular customer, the date of the transaction. Let's say today's date. If that's the case, okay, there's no transaction matching this date. So basically, you search for the transaction on the top part. The system will display the transaction here for you to confirm. When you're sure that's the transaction, selected the correct transaction, then you could click reverse now. The system will take it out. Okay, if there are many transactions on that date matching this search information, you can go next till you find the one you're interested in. Okay, so that's about reversing a transaction. Okay, so now let's look at, we now see how we can record transactions through the accounting system if you are not using the forms. Okay, so let's look at the reports on accounts. Okay, so when you come here, first we have this format. You see, when you see like cash, it means general cash account. I mean, everything relating to cash account. So you can select it, then when you select cash, you see that the date, this one is in bold, the start date and the end date is in bold. What it means is that you need a period, you need a start date and an end date to complete, to get a report. Okay, so then you get bank. This two is talking about all bank transactions within the period you're selecting. But what if you don't want that? You want a particular bank. You want transactions with a particular bank within a period. So in that case, you select particular bank. And all the banks you have in the system will be displayed. You select the one you want and you display the report you want. So you're seeing returning was, return out was, purchases, sales, debtors, then you are seeing particular debtors. When you see particular, again, it means you can select for a final processing. I mean, you can select further details so that you can narrow down the report. Creditors, particular creditors, and you have expenses, particular expense, revenue, particular revenue, liability, particular liability. Then here we have these two current liabilities. This will add all your current liabilities, a report on all your current liabilities. Then you have non-current liability. So is the other side of this one. Okay, then you have asset, you have particular asset, and that way. So you have all the ledgers covered here. Then you also have a trial balance here. And as I said earlier, this covers this both the mini P&L is both accounting and inventory. So you can use that. Okay. Now let's use one cash account, for instance. Select cash account and select from the beginning of this month up to today. This is what we get. First, we have the date, the description. This is the balance brought forward. Okay, this debit, this credit. So it means we started with a debit balance of this amount. We received some cash through sales. That's cash sales. And then we paid off some cash through purchases. So that comes to the credit. Then we received cash sales again. So we made payment for return outwards. So that one too comes here. So this is the total debit over the period. This is the total credit over the period. And this is the balance, which is in the debit. Okay, so that's how the account is organized. So now let's look at bank for the same period. Okay, we don't have any information because we didn't do much transaction. Okay, we can go to particular bank. Okay, let me pick something. Okay, so particular bank, we can select a particular bank, and for the period, then the bank's name will come up here. So everything you see here will be related to that particular bank. Okay, so that's the nature of the reports we have in terms of accounts. Then obviously you can pick your trial balance. But see, when I selected trial balance, I see only one date highlighted as the start date. It means I need just one date. I need to select value for this. This doesn't matter. Okay, so let's say trial balance as at the beginning of this month, or as at the end of last month. Not this month. The end of last month, August. Okay, so I can tell the system to give me a trial balance, and it will do its own thing. It takes some time, do some manipulations, and then finally I get something like this. Okay, basically the traditional trial balance is trial balance as at this date. Then anything in capital like this is a heading, so asset. So it doesn't match anything because it's a title. So all the assets are listed with their balances. Now means zero. So if you're not seeing anything, it means zero. Then we go on. It goes on till I think there are so many of them. Okay, so this your trial balance, your traditional trial balance. Okay, so if things were recorded properly, unlike you are seeing some difference here because of that transaction I did, I reversed some transaction and there was nothing to account for the difference. So that's why you're seeing this one here. Okay, so for the accounting, basically this is what you get. You can pull any account. You can put a general ledger, like if you pick bank, you're pulling the complete bank ledger, but then you can narrow down to a particular bank and pull the details there. Okay, so that's about the banking, what do you call the accounting aspect of the system. Okay, now we want to look at audit trail. Okay, what do we want to do when someone records a transaction in the system? What happens is that this person's account details is tagged to the transaction, so that when there is a dispute, we can know who recorded which transaction. Okay, so let's head to the search form. So we see some of the things I'm talking about. Let's say all the sales transactions we have in our books. I'll display all the sales transactions we have. You see that there's a column, there's some column somewhere here titled recorded by. Okay, so for each transaction, you see there's a recorded by column if I go into the details. So when we are doing audit, this is what we use. You can now get who recorded a particular transaction if there's any dispute. Okay, so for each transaction, automatically the system does the tagging for you, so you can later know who did the transaction. Okay, so that's about the audit trail. Now let's look at the user control. I logged on to the system as a supervisor, and I had access to virtually everything. To everything, not virtually. I had access to everything. Okay. So what if you don't want everyone to have access to everything, which is normal? Okay, so what do? You create user groups. So go to the supervisor section. There's something here called assign user, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is a user group already there. Can create another one. But when I select this user group, I see the rights that user group has, what they can do. For instance, if I come here, I see this people in this user group can record purchases, they can return items. Okay, so what they can do is ticked. Okay, so you see stock, so they can, in terms of accounts, they can post into all those accounts. Okay, which forms do they have access to? They have access to the add customer form, add sales item, and the rest. So all of those forms are there. Okay, when they go to search, do they have access to anything? Yes, those things they have access to are ticked. Then the report, which reports can they access? You see, all of the reports they can access are highlighted here too. So that's basically about it. So when you create, let's create a group. Okay, let's say test users. This is a group name. Okay, so when I select this group, what do I see? Under account, I see that this group has no access, has access to nothing. Under forms, they can't access any form in the system. Search, again, nothing. Report, nothing. So I can choose which ones I want to give them people in this group by, let's say, selecting that, okay, they shouldn't be able to post anything into accounts, but when it comes to sales, they should be able to sell using the sales forms, all the sales forms. Okay, they should be able to add sales items. Okay, so that's what these users can do. In terms of report, what do I want them to see? Only stock value, what we have. Okay, and let's say unit sales. Unit sales will be down here. So this group, this is all they can see. Okay, so that's it. So we've created a group. Now this is just a group. So we need to add users to that group. So any user we add to this group, how do we add a user? We say add system user. We select a form, tester. Let me say the name of the user is tester, the full name. Okay, let's say I'm going to use the same thing as username. Password, I'm going to use 123. 123. Okay, then I'm going to put the person in this group. Okay, so I add. That's it. Okay, so this user now belongs to this group. Let's test something. I'm going to log in with this user. Okay. Okay, the user name was tester, the username, the password I use 123. Then the user type, I said test users. Okay, so I log in with this account. I get the prompts all right. But what do I see here? Only few things are highlighted. All these disabled, all the items in deep blue, I can't access them. Okay, I can only access a sales form, which I have right to, add sales item, which I have right to. Okay, so basically, even if I go to report, or if I use this report form here, what do I see? Everything else here is disabled. Everything with the exception of the unit sales and this, the stock value report. Everything else is disabled. Okay, so that's about the user control. So the supervisor gets to assign rights, who can do what, who can see what. Okay, so that's that about the user control aspect of the system. Okay, now let's talk about other aspects of the system. A lot of the other things we did not mention. Okay, just going to mention a few so we can move ahead. Okay, as you could see, there's a form to record post-dated checks here. Okay, you can pay, you can reprint invoices. Okay, you can select an invoice and reprint it. Okay, then you have a pro forma invoice where you could generate a pro forma invoice without affecting your stock. Okay, so there's something for pro forma invoice. You can pay directly into a customer's account. You can pay for invoices. There's customer payments here. Okay, there's other payments for creditors and all of that. You can create customers, you can create creditors and all of that. Okay, so there's so many things you can do. Now let's look at when we went to the sales form. Here, automatically, the system selected to print invoice. We have to unselect it. This setting, we control this setting and some other settings about the invoice, the type of invoice to be printed, then a quantity of invoices. And here, whether this price that is displayed here is editable or not, we control it. Okay, so let's see how we do that. Okay, let's go to supervise and get under supervise, go to sales, this option here, set sales option. Okay, now this is where we set all of those details. First part is sales invoice print paper size. Okay, so the paper size, we have three types here. We have the A4, the typical A4. You can select to print A5. You can also select to print the thermal receipt size. That's the supermarket receipt, the typical supermarket receipt. Okay, and that's the most popular. So it means when you select this, you are telling the system that the printer connected to your machine is the point of sale kind of printer. Okay, so you select that here. Then what you saw on the sales form, always print sales invoice. Because it's selected here, if you unselect it, when we go back to that form, you come back here, you see that it's unselected. Okay, so that's where that is coming from. Okay, back to the form again. So let's select it. Invoice copies per sale. So the number of invoices to be printed per sale, which is set to the standard one, but you can change it to any number that you want. Okay, then you have the discount type. Here you have discount per unit or you have flat discount. Okay, and this you have invoice footer, the information displayed at the footer section of the invoice that is printed out. Thank you for buying from us. You could type that, or you could type anything that is okay for you. Okay, so let's look at the discount per unit. This discount per unit and the flat discount, what it means. Okay, let's go to the sales form. Pick anything. Let's say this item. Assuming we are selling two of them. And here the system is set to unit discount. So let's see. Our total discount is always displayed here, the net discount. Okay, so, and the discount is deducted from this value here if we apply discount. So let's say we are giving a discount of 1. Okay, see what is deducted from here. Deducted 2 instead of 1. You see it here, net discount. Because we are using what? Unit discount. The sales form is set to unit discount. So what it means is that the system will multiply this amount here with the quantity here to arrive at the discount. Okay, let's see the alternative. Back to that form again. Let's pick flat discount. Okay. Now, when we come here, you see something different. Let's use the same quantity, discount of 1. Okay, what is deducted from here? 1. Because whatever you enter here is the discount that the system is going to take into account. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Now let's move to the same form and now look at something. We have something here, make price editable. It is not selected. So when we go to the sales form and we try to sell something, the price is displayed as this. You see that we can't change, we can't type there, we can't change this price here. Okay, now let's go there. If for a particular reason we need to make this price editable, we can select this, set this, and we have this. Okay, now let's get back to the same form. Select the same item. You see that now I can select and type to use 5 instead of the price there, and the system will use the new price I type in, as you can see here. Okay, so that is about that one too. Okay. The next thing we want to quickly touch on is something we call group setup. Okay, come here under supervise, we get group setup. What is this group setup about? This allows us to sell things in bulk and in small pieces. For instance, think of selling milk. Okay, sometimes you can sell it in carton, and you can also sell it as a single piece. I mean, you can take the pieces out and sell. Okay, if you're a retail shop, that will be very important to you. When someone comes in and they want to buy in curtain, there's a different price for the curtain, and when they want to also buy a single one, there's a price. And usually there's some discounts involved, so the prices are not just a division to arrive at whatever you have. So you want to tell your system, you want the system to allow you to sell both in that level, in the big level, in the crates or carton level, and you also want the system to allow you to sell in single individuals, single pieces. Okay, so that's what this is about. So if I have an item let's say this item, I could select it as a big item. I could come here and select some other item as a smaller item. Then I tell the system that 12 of this item make up 1 of this. This is what I've done right now. So if I tell the system this, if I set up something like this, now I can actually take stock in the bigger items. When I'm taking stock, I can take stock in the bigger item. All right, let's say when I buy cartons, I don't buy pieces. So I can select stock, I can take stock in the bigger one. But then when I need to sell the smaller pieces, I can do what under stock, I can do something we call group to members transfer, where I'll select this and I say I'm transferring, let's say 1 of it. If I transfer 1, what the system will do is that it will take 1 from this quantity and add 12 to the other quantity, because I said 1 of this, 12 of the other one makes 1 of this. Okay, make 1 of this. Okay, so basically that is about the group transfer. It allows me to sell at different prices. I can set price for the bigger one, set a different price for the smaller one. They don't have to be fractions of one another or something. Okay, so that's about group setup. Okay, finally there's this search form to allow you access information that you could not access in the report. So you could access information that was not available in the report through a search form. All the tables in the system, if you have access to them, they are all displayed here. They are all labeled properly here. So you select, you search, or you can narrow down. You can go into the details and narrow down your search. Let's say something with quantity of 20, it will narrow down for me. Then I can also export the information I see here to Excel. So when I click this, the system will try to open Excel and move this detail here to Excel so that I can work on Excel from here. Okay, so I say no. Okay, I didn't want to show the details there. Okay, so basically, that's a brief overview of AcVentory. I hope you enjoyed it. And there's more. We couldn't talk about everything in detail, but this an overview. This an idea of what the system entails. Okay, thank you.